President of the.
All right, I call the City of Toledo Budget Committee to order. Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee to order. I knew I was gonna say that, but I didn't. Do I need to say the date? Yes. May 7th at 6:12. And I will now take a roll call vote. All right. Roll call, whatever. Barry Brewster.
Here.
I'm telling you what. Jackie Burns. Here. Me. Mayor Cross.
Here.
Jackie Kaufman. Not. I'm Andrew Keating.
Here.
Casey Keating. Here.
Yes, yes,
I don't know what last name is. It's a whole worded Ellis.
yes, just go Ellis, that works.
Okay. Jonathan Mix.
Here.
Tracy Mix. Here. David Robinson.
Here.
Frank Silva.
Here.
And Steve Strong.
Here.
And we do have a quorum present. Thank you. I'll get it.
You got it.
Is it your turn now? What do I do now?
I would move to approve the minutes from the April 30th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Perfect. Didn't know we needed to do that. I'm learning. And what do I do now?
Anything about
Oh, take a vote. I forget about the voting. This is my first time on this side. Barry Brewster.
No, you use the same.
Oh, yeah.
Census.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? The ayes have it. What do I do now? Your agenda, right? Oh, I guess that would help. I told you guys, I was like, are you sure?
You're fine. Yes, we are
All
sure.
right, so we are going to review the fiscal year 2024-2025 proposed budget for the URA. Okay, I'm opening it up for comments. Any comments? Very good.
So this is strictly a comment, it's not a request at this point, but the Downtown Association is interested in contracting with a gardener for the city.
Here, please try again.
Siri, no.
Serious. I had it turned on too.
And so we were wondering if it was possible to seek out a grant from the Urban Renewal Fund, maybe like that $200,000, not all of it. Good grief, that's something for.
It's like, he wants 200,000 for a gardener?
Well,
Better be a damn good gardener.
Planting trees and give us gold bricks.
Right, right.
What specifically?
To be decided. So when I went to Minneapolis, St. Paul, they have a huge parking garage that's on the roof of it's at ground floor. It's a huge flower garden. But it had like, I don't know if it was sage or something, but it smelled amazing. And so it'd be a sensory garden or gardens. So something that smells good, something that attracts songbirds, just something beautiful. So like the hillside behind the parking lot, where everybody, we just weed eat it right now. That whole hillside would be flower kind of a thing.
So does that hillside belong to the city or does that belong to the,
Which hillside, which parking lot?
So the Main Street parking lot,
we have Ardway Street?
Which Main Street parking lot?
the one next to Graham.
Okay, the one down at the south end.
Right.
Okay. The city owns that
Oh,
hillside,
up on the, yeah, right,
okay? And the city owns the hillside in this one too.
right.
So we own both of those.
I mean, there's all kinds of different spots around that we could have garden kind of things and.
I'm not against that. I know it's not up to me, but it seems like that would fall under Public Works.
Well,
I don't know.
it would, okay, so with the funding that he's looking for would come through Urban Renewal.
Mhm.
Okay, and it could be something we could do a grant on. Package it up, you know, give us what you need and bring it to Urban Renewal. That's what we're there for.
Right, Lisa's husband's a horticulturist. That's what we're looking at, Dakota.
Oh,
So, yeah,
cool.
so.
So we had talked during council meetings about replacement of trees. Is that in the same?
It could be,
If it's within the URA downtown, we could.
yeah,
That could potentially come out of public improvements.
Right. Both of those could.
This needs to be put on a future agenda for.
Probably good.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
watch it out, Barry.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
I got his resume today, and so we'll meet and we'll kind of go around and look around and see what kind of spots, what our vision is, and then step back.
I'm all for anything to beautify the city. That is fabulous.
The idea would be to have like season, different things are doing at different times, that kind of.
Right, it depends how much money.
Well, and also it depends on how, for lack of a better word, how much blooming do you want all year round? Because we've got about 3 months where it is hard to get anything to grow. But like bulbs and whatnot, we can get those to where you can rotate them around and they'll usually do okay until we have the ice.
If they're deep enough, it'll still survive.
Oh, it's not that they'll die, they'll survive. It's not that, it's the blooms, because there are crocuses that we can have bloom in the winter here. But right up until that hits, they'll be fine.
I know the Public Works does a very good job of beautifying the town,
Yep.
the equipment they have and such, but historically, the city did have a gardener.
Yep, we used to have a gardener, we used to have Parks and Rec, we used to have all kinds of things.
Yeah. It's not that it's
Right.
never
Yeah.
happened, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great idea.
Yep, and if you let me know, I'll sponsor a bunch of seeds for them too.
Okay, cool.
Any other comments?
I had a question.
Yes.
Community ground maintenance worker, what is that person's duties? Am I reading this correctly?
We're on the Urban Renewal. Agency.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
No problem.
Very last page of your
Yeah.
booklet.
I could speak on that, that'd be out of place.
Mm-hmm. I would move for adoption of the fiscal year 2024-2025 proposed budget.
Second.
I know about it.
Yes.
A public hearing has to be opened first before a motion. A motion paper.
So what do I need to do?
So,
Public hearing.
Just open the public hearing? Okay, and that's online and
yes, he just needs to withdraw his motion.
withdraw your.
I would draw.
And then you just need to open the public hearing, specify the time,
Okay,
and then
That's-
open the floor for any questions.
okay, I'm opening the public hearing at 6:08. And what was that?
Ask for any.
Ask for any public comment on the budget,
Online or in person.
online or in person.
And we do not have any attendees online.
Okay,
And so now you can,
now I can entertain a motion.
now you can close.
I can close the public hearing. Okay, I'm closing the public hearing because there was no comment. And now I am opening, open for.
Would move to approve the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 in the amount of $801,091.
Second. Second check.
And now I close.
Oh, I go for both.
Oh, I call for a vote. I'm gonna get it, guys. It's fair. All right, all in favor? Or do I have to vote each person?
This one you have to roll call.
Okay, roll call vote.
Probably the front.
Anne,
Yes.
David Robinson,
Yes.
Steve Keating,
Yes.
Harry Brewster,
Yes.
Jonathan Mix,
Yep.
Andrew Keegan.
Yeah.
Mayor Cross.
Yes.
Yes. Jackie Kaufman, we have not heard from her. Stu Strom,
Yes.
Jackie Burns.
Yes.
Frank Stoga.
Yes, ma'am.
And Tracy Mix.
Yes.
All right. Now I can call this. Budget passes. The budget passes and I adjourn this meeting. I don't.
I got it.
We muddled through.
I got a quote for the next one.
Oh, I know. We will see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys get the. Through again. All right.
On page 16.
Yes, I'm gonna take it.
Perfect. Here, Bush, you have your agenda. Yeah. You just handed it to me, thank God.
We'll call
Yep, yep.
for this meeting when you.
Okay. So am I calling it to order now? Yeah. All right, I am calling to order the Toledo Budget Committee, the regular budget. And we do, oh, I have to take roll call before saying we have a quorum, right? For May 7th. For May 7th. I need to say the time?
Yeah.
I'm going to take a roll call and Lorna Davis or Ellis. I don't know where that came from. Ann, are you here?
Here.
David Robbins. Casey Keating. Jerry Brewster.
Here.
Jonathan Mix.
Here.
Andrew Keating. Mayor Cross.
Yes.
Me. Jackie Kaufman's not here. Stu Strom.
Aye.
Jackie Burns.
Yes.
Frank Silva.
Still here.
Tracy Mix.
Is here.
And we do have a quorum. Looking for an approval of the minutes from the training held April 18th and the meeting held April 30th.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
And we don't have to, is that a vote again?
Call it by voice.
How do I say that? I'm sorry. Those in favor, thank you.
Aye.
Perfect. So. It's. Right, and opposed? Thank you. I am now opening. Oh, we're reviewing first. Review and discuss the budget, beginning with the general fund.
I have,
Of course.
page 16, I'd like everybody to go to page 16 of their book, if you don't mind, or your papers, whichever you prefer. My first is just a point of clarification on page 16. If you look in the columns for the proposed budget for this year, so you're the right side, it says 2023-2024 proposed and 2023-2024 approved. Those should be 2024-2025 proposed and 2024-2025 approved.
Good
Yep.
catch. That's an error.
So that's my first one. You guys want me to keep going or do other?
No, you go. You go. You go. Yeah, he said it. Good. You go, girl.
All right.
Good eye.
Yeah. My second one is also on page 16, and I just have a question, and I think it's going to be quickly answered. But on the library service district revenue, I noticed that it increased by about $10,500. Are we anticipating that because of property tax increases for the year, or why do we anticipate that?
That's the amount that the district told us there.
Okay, so we already had foreknowledge.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. I also, so I'm not done yet. And then on page, if we look at page, and this covers a couple pages, so bear with me a little bit. I noticed the garbage franchise income on the different funds is vastly erratic. If you look at page 16, you'll see that the garbage franchise has gone down by 130,000 on our estimate. If you go to page 29, you will see that the garbage franchise increases by 50,000. And then, yes, on page 29, we see it increased by 50,000. And for some reason, I thought there was another fund that it increased into, but I currently didn't write that down.
This is just based on allocation.
Okay, so it's different than something that should be of concern. Okay. So that was just a question that I had, because, looking at it, it's like, whoa, this is really different. Is something wrong here? Right, and then also the electric franchise, I had question, it was kind of the same thing. In one, we had a 1,754 drop on the general fund, but then when we looked at page 29, we see a drop of 85,000, or yes, 85,000 on the electric franchise. So it didn't really follow, but
It's trying to just, the spread that we do when we receive it, just trying to dial it in a little bit in each one, but they're just kind of rounded numbers.
all right, so that answers that one. I guess this one's jumping forward a little bit on page 28. If we go to the streetlights fund. That's just back another page or a couple pages, or the next page back.
Streetlights?
The streetlights. And so that's zeroed out. It's reduced by 147,000. Can you tell me where it was put back in the budget, which line item and which page?
Give me just a moment, streetlights.
Administration, isn't it?
That it's an administration.
I was that combined under utilities.
Yeah, that was one that got moved under administration.
So that answers my utility question. Okay. So we're just calling the streetlights maintenance a utility now, instead of just calling it a separate.
Yes.
The reason we kept it separate before was because we collect the fees for the maintenance of it and then we were paying it out. And that's why we separated, but I don't know that we have to. It's not designated, is it, Rod?
I think it's better if we keep it separate,
And we can-
simply because of the fact that we do line item it as a fee on bills.
Okay.
And this way you can show, this is what we've collected, it's going straight to that use. So we can show a direct corollary.
So I think my suggestion on that, it would be on page 17.
Page 17, I'll put it separate.
Put another line item in there for streets and just move it from utilities to that, and then that just clears up two of my questions and cleans that up.
Okay.
My next one, insurance, it's also on page 17. It's up 143,000. Where did that get moved from?
That's part of that breakdown I gave you guys where we're combining from general fund and administrative, or sorry, not general, fund, general services. Those all got rolled together. That had previously been in the 001-900 that, and it's all moving into administrative.
Okay.
We're trying to reduce the
I see
redundancy.
this. Okay, good. All right. Scott answered that question. Perfect. And contract and other services,
Same thing.
it was up by that, and that was also moved.
That's from
to other
general services.
I was wondering if the street. So I just have a few more. That's answered.
Tracy, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Just a procedural question. Since there's changes being made, are we going by consensus of the committee or actually getting motions for these?
Like in the past.
Yes. So.
Yeah, I think for that street one to make the other one, we need to get a consent. We need, because that's the only change that's being proposed of our.
Yeah, I procedurally, I just
Yeah.
asked which way we're doing it.
Should we do that now?
Yeah.
Are we?
It's
That way we do it.
technically take that one item and another.
Okay.
All right.
I would move that we keep streetlights as a separate line item within the budget to reflect the fact that we have an actual fee for that.
And I would second that.
Do I need to say anything?
Need to call from.
Oh,
All in favor?
Aye.
all opposed? Ayes have it.
Good call.
Thank you, Lisa.
I have a couple more questions. And then I'm literally only. Anyway, so on page 22. Line item 001-500-608-100. Contracts and other services. let me see what the question was. It was negative 34,000. Did we, for some reason, feel that the contracts and other services for the fire department would be decreased by that much?
It was just budgeted really high the year before and we didn't spend anywhere near that. And
Yeah, because if you look back at the.
Yeah,
adopted-
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
so we tried to dial some of these where it just seemed way over budgeted and we didn't have a reason. We tried to dial that.
then that's fine. I was comparing it to what we budgeted last year and I was wondering if there is a reasoning for that. Would we, you know, I know we budgeted high last year thinking that maybe, I think there was something you thought you were gonna be paying for, but I can't
Oh.
remember.
No, there was something that's been changed. so.
Okay,
My only thought about that would be, they have been fantastic about getting grants.
Mhm.
Had they not gotten the grants, they probably would have needed
that's true.
Maybe it
that
was, yeah,
money.
maybe it was matching. funds
So
or something.
God forbid they don't get any grants going forward. I don't see that happening, but is that something we should be concerned about, like cover ourselves for? You know what I mean?
Yes, we have been pretty fortunate on those and, it's a gamble when you apply to get them and
Right.
Do many of the fire grants have matching funding?
some do. The county one for the emergency management one does, which I'm working on finishing right now. And, the FEMA grants definitely will. If we get lucky enough to have that problem, those would most likely, especially the large one, come out of the apparatus replacement fund because it's a different model altogether. That one of them, the small one would come out of that most likely. 70,000 right now. The opportunity is still there.
Okay, so that answered that question. And the next page, I'd like y'all to turn to is page 24. There's a couple line items on here, both the youth program support and the adult program support have significant decreases. And these are programs that have been fought hard for. And
I can explain that.
That's what I'm.
Those budget adjustments are reflected in the budgeted amount last year. That's actually grants they received. That's not
Okay.
what we originally budgeted. Oh, that's why.
So as the grants get
actually-
accepted, we increase those
Yeah,
line.
we were increasing and that's why I actually separated out and created that grants line item.
Perfect.
So we can do that separate from the regular
All
budget.
right, that answered that. So awesome.
Do we need to do anything with what your question was?
I mean, if the fire chief thinks it's okay and the.
Do you, chief, think it's okay?
I think we should, give it a shot with this year and if it doesn't work as well, we can bring it back up next year.
sorry.
Let's run with it.
No, it's a good
The way it
question.
is, run with it.
It can always be amended.
Yeah.
Right, and Jackie, if there is an extraordinary circumstance, they can just bring a budget change to us. The council.
Okay.
Not only that,
Tim Grant.
not only that, we have contingencies within the general fund, so if something out of ordinary happens, we can go before council and move contingency fund.
Gotcha, okay, thank you. Okay, Tracy, hit it.
I only have 3 more things. 4, anyway, 4 more things.
You're doing it.
This one is just kind of a little thing that, I ran across it and briefly had a question about it and then remembered why. So on page 38, when we look at the debt service fund, the reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we have zeros on some of these, on the current taxes, delinquent taxes and all that, is this is paid off.
Yes, as of,
No,
it
it
is June 30th is our last payment. That bond will be paid in full.
So that's why we are seeing zeros there and there's nothing to go in there. So that was a yippee.
Yeah, that's our
And,
general.
we get move on.
Obligation bond right away.
Awesome. And on page 42, on the building and property reserve fund, if we go to, I noticed that there was no money that was allocated to the parks. It's 035-350-621-660 for the capital outlay. Is there some reason that we're not allocating money to the parks?
Because this year we were looking at developing our parks master plan. And we're getting a grant for that.
Okay.
And so we felt before we invest a bunch of money into our parks, we'll get our park master plan up and going so we know which direction we're going.
I was gonna propose that we take an amount, because we spent $134,189 on parks last year. I was gonna,
Bathroom, just so you know.
That's the bathroom. Yeah.
okay,
The one up.
No,
That's the
No, the new one, John, the new one.
New ADA one.
In the previous years, though, we have still had some expenditures, not a lot. I was gonna propose, and if you guys think I'm being a little new nitpicky, you just tell me and it's fine. I'll yell at my husband later. I was gonna propose that we take about 15 or 20,000 out of 035-350-621-900, which is other building and properties, and put that in the parks. Just in case it's needed there. I don't know if it's necessary. I mean, maybe that can be used, that fund can be used for that anyway.
I mean, it could, but.
I don't, does anybody else have a feeling on this?
The only thing I can see in there is and this is what we do have coming up in parks, we know. That I can think off the top of my head is with the one that burned down, we're gonna be replacing it. Now, insurance is gonna pay for that. And we're insured for even full replacement value. So with that, we could put some in there for the line item, so we have it, and then it's not zeroed out, but we have the line item reserved, but it will be offset through grants basically, or insurance payments.
And that's fine. I was just thinking if something came up, you know.
Yeah.
It's something that's not foreseen, then.
I don't have a problem moving that if that would be a, budget
Because
committee.
the, somebody said
No, we don't.
about the burnt bathroom, that yes, insurance is covering it, but they are covering it for it being in 1960, whatever. So we have to come up with the difference, right?
No.
So what happens is it was insured for being new from somewhere back in the 1950s or something like that. And it was insured at a loss value of like 55,000. Maybe it was 59,000. Anyway, so they will give us the cash up front of the 59,000 for the full value that it was insured at. With the replacement value, so that is reimbursed back as we build it. So we pay that, they give us the first 59,000 to get going. We keep tracking that project. When it's done, they come back and reimburse the difference to us.
Okay, cool.
So if it costs 100,000, they're gonna come back with another 41.
Right, we'll have to front the other 41, and then when it's done, they come back and reimburse it to us.
That's a beautiful thing.
So Tracy, how does this sound then? I would move that we take 15,000 from 62,1900 and move it to 62,1660.
Amend that to include the entire numerical sequence that we need to for the line items, but yes.
What about?
So you're on.
15.
15K going from the other buildings and properties and move it to parks.
Is that okay, Brian?
Is that
Just want to make sure you're covered. Okay.
Was
got
that
it.
a motion?
Yes.
And was that a second?
You just seconded.
Jack did. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? It's approved.
Are you guys ready for my last two? Okay. This one is just a comment, really. I'm noticing in a lot of places, the interest is probably either calculated a little low or missing entirely. Not a big deal. It comes out in the wash. So I'm not gonna propose any changes for that.
I like to
whatsoever.
budget for things like interest
Exactly.
low. We're likely gonna collect a lot more, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So.
And then are you guys ready for my very last one? Okay.
Is it the biggest? I don't know if I'm ready for it.
My biggest one, my last one is of course to reiterate that I would like to see the line item benefits on each of these
taxes and
change to taxes, insurance and benefits.
What page?
On all of
All
these.
I have a note for that.
Yeah, she has a note for that. And then also we were gonna either do an addendum or an additional page where we had the detail on that.
I got the
We do.
detail.
Awesome.
All out for you.
So that is everything that I had on this budget that when I combed through it. So good job, guys.
We're gonna add this as an appendix in the back.
Love it. That's what I was thinking was a really, awesome. That's what I was thinking.
It has the breakout of the salaries and benefits.
Perfect.
For each different, and it's just a numerical order.
No, that works.
Did you get one?
I did already. I grabbed one already.
It's gonna get this in London.
Oh, I'm on this side.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so far this is totally different than the way I remember it from the last 2 years. Usually we go page by page, right?
Sorry, Pam.
No, it's fine. I just want to make sure we're
I have one.
on track.
As long as people track it, that's the big.
But we have to go page by page and approve each
Yeah.
page as we go, right? No? I swear, I thought I remembered us.
That's how we did it.
Okay.
That was.
It wasn't so much approving each page, it was, okay, does anyone have any notes on this? page?
Okay,
And if anyone has any notes on this page?
okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I know you'll tell me it's not.
Well, but since Tracy was bouncing, from this page to look at that page, I like the way she did it because it kept that continuity involved.
Right. Do we have any other comments?
Yes. Okay, so on page 37. So with the City Council Strategic Reserve Fund. So there are 3 expenditures that I would like to see in the budget. And Amanda, I hope you can help and tell me how we would lay this out. But they are as follows. 12,000 for the Toledo Historical Society, 12,000 for the Uinta Pacific Railroad Historical Society, and 5,000 for the county homeless shelter.
So what I think you guys could do, and there's 2 options on this is.
Sorry.
And I'll let the finance manager address what works best for her, but there's 2 options. One is you guys can take it out of special purchases. But it's line item there, or you can take it out on this budget. And just go before council and approve that spending through that 178,000. Or you have your current budget that you're in and you can approve it at the next council meeting to go forward with that. The only thing that would do would be changing your beginning fund balance here and probably adjust these out,
I
but
just want to make sure it was out in front of the entire budget committee.
Yeah.
And not something that, just happened at city council, because even though it's our strategic reserve, it's the community strategic reserve.
Yeah.
And so, both of our historical societies came before council at our last meeting. Currently, the county is unsure if they are going to fund them. And I consider them very important to this community.
They're integral to our community.
And thank you.
Yeah, we
And I
have a
would,
lot of tourists.
and I would like to see them have, hopefully something will get worked out with the county, but let's make sure that they're functioning. And we learned also from the county last week that we had 5 individuals use the county shelter over the winter. Of those 5 individuals, 4 of them got rehoused. 2 of them are veterans and they're going in our brand new veterans housing. So the system is starting to work. The reason we picked the 5,000 number is that was $1,000 a head, which apparently is kind of norm in these situations, with municipalities. But as a council, we felt that was a good number to at least start with. If they needed a little more, we can possibly give them a little more down the road. But we'll make sure that number's out there so they know that number they can count on. I'd be open to any questions. I know we have representatives of both historical associations here. If anyone has any questions, but I would just like to make sure that they know that they have funding for this year. And this mayor will continue to fight the county with glee to make sure that those functions stay funded.
I have one question for him is, are you looking for the funding for your next fiscal year or currently like right now?
For the next fiscal year.
So my recommendation hearing that would be that we leave it in this budget as is, and then come even next meeting, you guys can choose to spend that in to come out of the next fiscal budget.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, like I said, I want to make sure it's out in front of everybody. And whatever path we choose to do that in, let's get it done. That's all I'm saying.
Was part of that because of the transit room tax? Because because I talked to Amanda about it, and so we're going to have tax this year.
Hey, Barry, you're not gonna be able to fund them.
No, I know. But at least we would show, because she said she's gonna put it in miscellaneous, but if we had an actual line item, then that would stand out to say, look, this is part of our budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
it's-
we're gonna talk about that as you rent that thing every day for the next 300.
I know, well, I'm
365 days.
potentially at $3,000, because there's gonna be three of them.
Okay, I wanna see it all done there.
And by state law, we have to track TLT tax as it comes in or TRT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because by law, there's percentages that we have to allocate those towards tourism or.
Right.
Um,
By law, we have to take 70%.
But I just didn't know if it was something that we need to have in the budget that, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
So,
not
okay.
this year.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about
Uh,
that. Thank you.
However the committee decides for us to deal with it, I'm happy. I just want to make sure the entire committee knew about it. I didn't want you to read about something down the road where, you know, we went around you. I don't want to go around you. I want you included in this. Because this is, as Tracy put it, this is integral to our community.
Can I make a suggestion possibly? That the committee could maybe vote on putting a footnote here that just says that they wish for the 12, 12 and 5 to be split as you want, if they all agree to that. And it's a footnote in the budget.
Yeah.
From that line item.
Does anybody here have any opposition to us making these?
I would have to not vote on that homeless part. I have an issue with that, so. But definitely for the historical, that's a definite yes, but I'd abstain on the other one.
That's fine.
We can do without you.
I'm just saying.
And coming from you, Jackie, it's the nicest thing you could have possibly said.
We don't need you, go away.
And just for the non-council people, Mayor Cross said we had 5 people directly from Toledo.
That you.
That's how.
Yeah.
They asked for 800,000, they served about 800 people, and so we came up with 1,000 per person, and because they served 5 Toledoans, if that's a word, Toledoites, whatever, yeah. That's how we came up with our number.
And stuff.
It's for those people transition into permanent housing.
Yes. Yeah, 4 of the 5 have been transitioned into permanent housing. 2 of them are veterans and they're signed up to go into our new veterans housing that'll be opening soon. So,
Very exciting.
yeah.
I think leaving it in special purchases with that footnote is probably,
Okay,
it's transparent that way.
that's what I want.
And it keeps the continuity as well. If we put a special line item in there for it, and then we decide to do it next year, then we'd have to keep that line item in for 5, you know, or for how.
I wanted, however, it was easiest, but I wanted to be
Yeah.
transparent. So,
So,
all right.
So how do we handle
Ask
this?
for a motion for a footnote.
Okay, I'm asking for a motion for a footnote on special purchases.
Oh, Lisa,
Just as a reminder, I don't know if anyone from the budget committee does serve on either of those museums as a board of director, but if you do, can you please just declare potential conflict of interest before you make them vote?
The model railroad is moving downstairs in one of my buildings.
so you should probably declare a potential.
Yeah,
So it's
potential.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Thank you. I appreciate you. You don't even know how much.
keeps us on track.
I would move that we put a footnote on page 37 to denote that, in which, take it out of special purchases, recently, that a special purchase item will be added to the city council agenda for 12,000 for the Toledo Historical Society, 12,000 for the Pacific Road Historical Society, and 5,000 for the county homeless shelter.
I'd second that.
All right, all in favor?
Correction, Toledo History Center, not historical.
You're good.
Okay,
I was wrong.
I said all in favor. I don't know if everybody said aye or not.
Aye.
Anybody against? It passes.
Right, what do I do now? I
Ask for more comments.
That's.
more comments. I need comments, guys.
Ron, can you just repeat those allocations again?
12 for the Toledo History Center, 12 for the Quinta Pacific Railroad Historical Society, and 5,000 for the county homeless shelter. Yep.
Any more comments? Yes.
Oh, they did go and get the one for the fire.
Fire department?
22? Is that right? 22.
22.
Are you looking for the expenditures or the income?
Okay, so overtime for wildland firefighters, it's only 2,500. Last year it was 2,500, but they went to 10,000, so why can't we just make that more? Cause
Since reimbursed by a grant while we're doing there, same thing, we're holding the line item open. We don't know. As if we, well, we did get the grant, but we don't know if there's gonna be any, wildland guys to go or not. So we come in and we adjust that as we go, as people need it, then we add to it as we need. I mean, we can. It's just, it's holding the line item, but it's also there that when we get the grant, we can grow that line item.
so the grant I thought was for standby.
The grant is for standby, yep.
It's a staffing grant.
It's yeah, it goes
Yeah.
both. So we just hold the line item, but it'll. I don't want to budget more because we're gonna have to pull from somewhere on not knowing if we're gonna get a grant or not. So this is just holding the line item until we get the grant or when we know people go and we have the reimbursement for the grant coming.
Well, if it's a conflagration, the state pays anyway.
Conflagration would be two different things. That is, you're exactly right. They do repay 100% back on conflagrations. The staffing grant is an OSFM staffing grant. Although somebody in the staffing position could respond on a conflag, it's more designed. It's totally designed for staffing in the city district.
So creating a position.
It does, kind of. They give you the 35,000 and say, use this for wildland staffing. So what we end up doing is we bring on volunteers that fill, we have either one person or two people days that we want to fill. And then if we get a red flag day, we can up staff from there. So the money is pretty loose in how we spend it. We have to account for it. We have to show that we've spent it. But the last couple of years, we've 100% done that on volunteers pool. Some departments are using that for upstaffing paid staff that they already have. And they can use it for that. We can do the same. But we've done it 100% out of bringing volunteers in and filling positions.
Bob was gonna say something.
I was just gonna talk about what he was. Thank you, Larry.
Sorry, I didn't see you there, sir. No problem.
That's okay. You said it in firefighter ease, and I know that's what John understands.
If I say code, please stop me.
Question about since we're doing the fire, is that radio station that we were talking about, is that coming out of the fire department fund?
No, it's all paid for.
I was gonna
It's all
say,
paid for.
are we even paying?
It's all paid
Yeah.
for,
Yeah,
it's volunteer.
I didn't know where it was, if it was in the budget.
That was last year.
I know in the notes, they were talking about the ham radio and the high frequency thing, and I didn't know if that.
About the only thing that comes out of the fire department on that right now is maybe electricity.
Yeah, most of the parts for that were purchased actually through a grant. BFA grant for that one, and then the main system was purchased out of budget.
I didn't see it.
It's a good question. I didn't think about that, Stu.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And as far as ham goes with that, we have a ham radio at the station that we currently have. We just don't have any ham. Anybody's out there wants a ham certified operator? And then we have some other stuff that was purchased through a grant that is part of that plan that I want to get going this year. That equipment was purchased through a grant and paid for a year and a half ago, and I still don't have it.
Really?
Yeah,
Still waiting for it to come in?
still waiting for it to come in. Been a year and a half. Yeah. Actually, we're Florida. That's where realm be, BK radio. Kings.
Yes.
So this is just about understanding something, in our budget, message, because we're talking about the fire stuff, on page 6, we have the mention of being prepared to participate in the Complementary Act. However, no budget has been provided, so a supplemental budget would be needed if personnel and equipment are dispatched to a wildfire. I'm just kind of generally understanding, if you could just expand on that a little bit. What we mean by that in terms of like from the budget perspective.
We have to recognize the income and the expenditure.
Right, and that's where the wildland firefighter position gives us a placeholder for that. And then if anyone goes, whether it be a paid staff or a volunteer, they are paid at our wages. If paid staff goes, they're paid at our wages and reimbursed for the full package of our wage benefit value. I cover all the bases on that. And then if it's a volunteer, they're paid through OSFM wages, which we have a whole new pay scale for that. We got to update with our billing stuff. So they're paid for with that. As far as equipment and vehicles, that's just what we do every day. So there's nothing more. In fact, we just got 10,000 from Weyerhaeuser for wildland equipment too. You know, we outfitted some of the trucks. So as far as the equipment, the vehicles, things that we wear, training that we do, that's just any other day.
So on the budget, what we're saying here is we hold these line items, we have the money there to get them started. And we're relying on those reimbursements to come in to finish it out.
So we don't need to I guess what I'm trying to make sure I understand fully, it's not like we have to have a budget committee meeting before dispatching can happen.
Please no.
Okay. Because there's some phrasing here that's making me feel like.
Scary.
We would just have to say no.
At that point, the council handles that.
Yeah.
Because when, oh, go
And
ahead.
the other part of that is only if there's a change of 15% in the total fund, which this is the general fund, which is $6 million. So if we have a 15% change in that fund, then we come back to the budget committee. I don't suspect we'll have a conflagration that'll go that high.
And we can only hope.
We hope not.
No. It's a great training. One of the benefits of that line item for the fire side of life, OSFM is very slow at getting reimbursed back to us. It takes about 6 months. If we go out of state, like in California, and now the conversation is going north to Washington, Montana, Idaho, getting EMAC agreements with them. Now we're talking well over a year.
Yeah.
So it is, some areas will not pay their volunteers until the money is reimbursed to the city or district. Something the city started a long time ago was this line item that we can at least get the volunteers paid when they get back, normal pay for the paid staff, and not have to do a large, oh no, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And wait for that money. Yes.
This might be off topic, so just help me. But I'm from Montana, so very familiar with, volunteers from other states needing to come and go. You tell me to put a pin in this and I'll come visit you. But how do you decide, I guess, like head count wise, how many folks to send away versus like keeping here during like fire season?
Okay, a couple things with that. Please come up to the station and visit anytime.
I went to the pancake.
Oh, great. Right, I remember seeing you there now.
Spends way more than we planned to.
Yeah. We base it on a couple things. One, in our priorities of any response, the city is a first priority, district's a second, mutual aid would be third. So if we have enough staffing and let's say the request came in on 4th of July weekend, probably not going to send anybody because we're just not going to have the people available. When it comes to our paid staff, we'll send one of those out at a time and then whatever volunteers that are trained up and able to go. So that's kind of how we balance that out. Historically, last year we sent 2. Years past, we've had a lot of volunteers that didn't work and we were able to send like 1 or 2 engines, six people. So it really depends on the year and the time. Because when it comes in, we're expected to be out the door within 3 hours.
Yeah.
So they're going to call at any given time, usually it's dark, and say, we need you in Umatilla by 8 a.m. and you got 15 minutes to answer it. So we try to keep a really short leash on who's available in the first place, and then we start making phone calls. So we just base it on protecting home plate first. Uh-huh.
More comments?
Yeah, so Andrew, to circle back around, when we're saying, talking about a supplemental budget, that is just so we can recognize the revenue and the expenditure, because once it's over a certain amount, we have to. But like Doug said, it's unlikely to be big enough that it would require more than the city council. It has to be 15% of the total budget for the entire budget committee to have to come back.
Yeah, and I just raised it because it was kind of called out in a very specific way in that message that made me at least concerned.
Okay, so
That
you
makes sense.
understand it.
And that's what I meant by,
Okay.
Yeah, I understand it in general. My concern was that it was called out as a very specific item that
Oh,
might
yeah.
require.
and I think what that is calling out is that we're letting you know, we're prepared to send people, but it's not like a total budget for it because it's gonna be reimbursed in a time.
And it's extremely variable. Like I said, some years we don't send anybody, other years we got 6, 7 people.
And like you said, if something comes up that it's gonna be a long time for reimbursement, there might be a chance then I gotta hit up my council to move money from their strategic fund to help them until that money comes back.
That
So-
has happened.
And that has.
Yes, that happened, wasn't it 5 years ago with the
Yeah, California was really, and we sent a full crew down for
Yeah,
that.
and California was like,
That was
oh,
camp.
we might get to you, you know, like next century. Yeah.
They're notorious for not
Yes.
paying.
But we went and we'll do it again.
Yep. Lives over dollars.
More comments? Anybody?
I have a question about the capital improvement project for the library.
Is that Kenny Flora?
Oh,
Oh, the capital.
For.
Yeah, page 66.
That's it. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So my question is that $4,000, that includes sort of like the administration of that system for the year in terms of like making cards and things like that?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep. My understanding of that keypad or key card system would be that we manage it on site. And controlling access to it ourselves and not doing it via recurring subscription, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, well, and I'm just thinking, as it seems like it will be keypad or key card, and if it's key cards, then I'm just kind of thinking like the number of keys you have out at a time. If it's a keypad, how like changing the passcodes. Like charge people if they lose their
They're
cards.
fobs.
Okay.
So they're fobs, and then our IT guy will speak on that we program those fobs, and then that fob can then only open that door, and then it's only good for that door, and then hopefully they'll be checking in a fob and checking out a fob.
As it is right now, we just have a physical key cylinder lock. So the security issue with that is if we have, we get somebody in there using that every day, and a lot of people use it after hours. And so groups that are repeat users will oftentimes have someone pick up a key when we're open and they come back, during the weekend or after hours when they're not there. And so an issue that we're not having right now, but that can arise from that is sometimes someone in an organization will have the key and they'll give it to somebody else who's going to be there because they won't be there. And then come Tuesday, somebody got the key. Where's the key? With either a key card or with the code, if it's outside of that time, we can just remotely turn it off and make that key stop working. And it's just a plastic card that's disposable. As opposed to having to track where every physical key is. And then if we lose track of one, wonder about buying another lock. So that's kind of the security side of it.
Not entirely related, but do we have a camera on that door?
We have a camera facing the parking lot. Not on the door.
Probably be a good idea.
It seems like that might go well with that. How much does?
Do we have a camera inside that room?
Not inside that room now.
Okay, I just said maybe. Okay,
Might want to add a camera to that. I'm just a thought as an added layer of
Add a layer of security.
security and, you know, because that door's kind of protected, like if you're on the street, you can't see.
Can't see who's down there.
Yeah,
I mean, library has equipment reserves that could possibly. Cover
Just a
camera.
don't want to get us off track.
Did that answer your question, Stacy?
Yes.
Since we've moved down to capital equipment, first off, with the police car. As I understood it, we were starting to look at possibly doing the lease option on our fleet. Did that idea not pan out? Where are we at with that?
you want to talk about it?
Uh-oh, you're both smiling. So should I just duck for asking the question?
Yeah, short version, it didn't pan out.
Okay.
It got to be a bit of a used car salesman situation.
Yes.
And it seemed to be a bit of a, when we finally got numbers at the end there, it looked like we were gonna, it would become very cost
It looked
prohibitive.
great the first year,
Yeah,
maybe the
but
second
it's-
year.
Anymore, it's going to be
Okay.
extremely expensive.
Okay, thanks. I just appreciate the
It
update.
didn't seem fiscally prudent.
No, that's fine.
But we are researching some other methods that we found that we're looking at that we've heard about that might be of more interest to us. So,
Other than purchasing?
well, taking on that lease role, because we were looking at the leases. And, that way you cycle them out like every 5 years, we don't have to worry about, I mean, that's what you're paying for is the convenience, because then we don't have to worry about selling them. We don't have to worry about, when they come, they're all set up, ready to go out the door type thing.
We don't buy and have to wait 3 months for it to get.
Yeah, when it comes, it's ready to go. So, but there are some other options out there, that some other agents are doing out there that they're getting creative with the lending, so they lend the money, the one we're looking at, they lend the money up front and you pay it like a loan. And then it's, at the end of that, you can set them up for either 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever. And at the end of that, you get the titles to the car, you own them, you own everything, and you can put the whole police package, with all the lights, sirens, bells and whistles in it, into that packaging. And you're just gonna pay the same price every year until that's paid off, and it's up to you to discard it. It's just pretty much like borrowing to buy a car, only and it's yours and you have the title. We're in the lease company, we don't get the title. So,
Well, even personally, it's a bad deal to do.
yeah. It's a convenience factor on the lease side.
Yeah.
So another question, and it's along the lines of the library one. As I understand it, we're going to go to a whole new system of locks on our exterior doors.
You've seen it starting, yes.
Okay. Do we have that budgeted for, or?
We're doing that in our building upgrades, just as, I mean, it's kind of towards the end of the year, we're looking at our budget. If we don't have the money to upgrade them, we will. We kind of do it as we watch the budget. It's not we got the exterior doors all done, which is what we wanted to do. We're gonna start working on interior doors next.
Okay. I just wanted to put that out there. And the last question I had was for our wonderful public works. On what you have done here for the I&I work. Now, this part in the budget does not include what the Urban Renewal Agency is paying for, or does it?
Let's see, where was that location, Brian?
That is on page. Okay.
74?
See, we have a lot of things.
I own 74.
It's page 74.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I do like the new look of the budget.
I did.
It reads quicker. Like that. Thank you.
So as you know, you have 200,000 under urban renewal. So if that liner falls within the urban renewal district, we can use 200,000 of that towards that. And then, which I believe some of those lining projects that he has are within the urban renewal agency. So that 400,000 is combined through URA and on the other side, isn't it? On public reserve, or did we pull it out of public reserve? I
I
can't
can't
remember.
remember off the top of my head without looking.
I gotta
Is
look.
that just this one, yeah.
So I was just wondering if it was 600,000 total, or is it 400,000 together? A mixture?
So where it comes from, I can't say that, but all this is based on the updating and the lining
Right.
and what we need to do. Estimated, would like to get done.
Right.
To mitigate that and also means. The
Well,
process for.
I understand that whole process. I was just looking at the process. This mean maybe we can do 600K?
So-
There was 400,000 in the sewer reserve budgeted, but then there was the additional. in the-
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, I feel
We
better.
have 600,000 budgeted, and he's got 400 in CIP.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Sorry, I can't.
It's okay. You're good. Okay.
There's the additional over 200,000. So over
Yep.
600.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
I don't like having D&Q on my doorstep.
We have fulfilled that.
Yeah, well, they tend to stick their nose in.
Well, I know, but
Anyway,
I'm just letting you know.
Yes,
If you
no.
know the first one.
that's all I had.
The approving the budget, that's not the right amount, is it?
That's for the urban renewal.
Oh, that's right. I'm like, that's not right. I'm just reading ahead.
I have a question on the police budget. So on pages 19 and 20. So I noticed, this isn't about any issues with anything, just curiosity. We're seeing overtime go up by 7% here. I'm looking at the statement over on the left here on page 19 about 3,600 hours of overtime. So I guess, yes, please. So what I'm curious about is, how much of this overtime is related to kind of recognizing, of course, police more than others have overtime related to emergencies, just general response. Obviously, it's dispatch. I'm interested in how much of it is based on shortages of personnel, so you don't have the.
There you go.
Yep.
So no shortage. And is Chief Pace online?
I
am.
No.
The disembodied voice of God.
So I guess.
The majority of our overtime right now is due to staffing shortages. We've had to basically have mandatory overtime for quite almost 2 years now. And so that's where the majority of overtime is. The secondary amount of overtime usually goes to court in covering vacations and sickness.
And so there's an expectation that for this next fiscal year, we're gonna probably be experiencing a similar or greater shortage?
Well,
It might be going down.
we're
because of
hoping it's
staffing.
going down. We raised it because of cost of the COLAs and everything that they're entitled to as the TPSA, the bargaining unit gets. So we plan for the worst. We're hoping for the best. And I think Chief Pace will say that, they're down one officer now, that where they were down 3 at one point. And
We were here for the swearing in ceremony and I saw something in the newsletter. And so at least kind of trending, I've noticed more people coming on. And so that just kind of raised that question for me of, is that balancing out or are we still expecting?
Chief will tell you, we have turnover. I mean, it's natural in the police. We get them, we tend to be, I don't know if Chief will agree, but we tend to be a training ground sometime.
We grow great officers.
And then move on, and so then we're back into overtime situations. It's kind of like you see the end is near and we're getting full up and then a couple leave
Yeah.
because they're trained up, so.
I totally agree with his assessment. We get a lot of, our officers don't usually stay more than 5 years unless they're in a special assignment. And so I have to, take that consideration when we're training people. I have one position open in patrol and I have one position open in dispatch still. So once those two are filled, then I suspect our overtime will drop considerably.
And that's another reminder too, it's not just the police officers, it's also the dispatchers.
And
Yeah, I noticed it was heavier.
I
on
can
this.
tell you that the most of the overtime this year wasn't on the officer side, it was on the dispatch side.
Yep, we saw that here. Yeah. Thank you.
Comments. Trying to be enthusiastic.
I know, I was waiting for the phone call.
No, I don't do that. Yeah, I do, yes, yeah.
Did you have questions about grounds workers?
No, it was,
Okay.
it was, yeah.
Can you remind me why this, I'm forgetting on it, typical tier with this, why the garbage franchise went down by so much?
It's been declining. And again, for revenues, I tend to try and budget a little bit low because we don't wanna over budget and then not collect. I did call and talk to a couple folks at Doll, and I mean, they can't guarantee it either. There's a couple of issues that are playing into that. Some of it is the materials are coming from other sources. Some of it's, you know, it's not a huge percentage of it's small, but the quarterly revenue we're receiving is just been declining. It seems like it's peaked and it's gone down a little bit, so we just budgeted a little bit more just to cover us for this next year.
I don't know the whole message, and Judy, for the last couple of years, it's that they're expecting that this revenue to drop, and that we're starting to see it now.
So a question on the franchise. How is it assessed? Franchise fee. Is it assessed by customer and what they get? In other words, what size of can they get, blah, blah, blah. Or is it based on something, let's just say formulaic and esoteric?
I don't know.
Based on gross sales.
Ah, thank you. Okay.
So it's a
Formulaic and esoteric then. Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Why don't we why is it not based on, for lack of a better word, cans?
There's different size cans, that would be.
Right, but no,
Wouldn't
it's
it?
simple. This can gets this much as part of the fee. This can gets this much part of the fee. This can gets the other. And the reason I come to that is because that makes things relatively stable. Instead of this number that can go wherever it goes, and we have no ability to, for lack of a better word, track that. Whereas if it's on cans, we have a pretty good ability to at least somewhat track that. Sales is not something we can track on their side of the fence, so that's why I bring it up. And maybe that's something the council should take up at a later date.
Sales would also include any bulk disposal or anything, I'm guessing that's happening at their facilities.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or even if it was based on per customer, per household, per customer type of thing, because I'm more thinking around the idea that that Doll is utilizing our roads, our services.
And normally that's how it's done, right? It's by, line of, length of line. It's so much for this, it's so much for that, and that's how you get charged for your franchise fee.
And
That's why I'm asking.
We do have of their revenue that comes in, a portion does, that's why it goes to streets. is
Right.
To help offset that street, and it's in our, I believe it's in the policy we passed, that it's the split of what that is, I can't remember.
Right, I mean, I'm just trying to understand how they calculate the fee initially.
And I haven't got to read our garbage franchise agreement yet.
Yeah,
So
look,
I don't-
here's the guy that wrote it right here, so.
Oh, sorry, David, buck stops with you.
No pressure.
So is it normal for cities to get a franchise payment from solid waste?
When you do an exclusive franchise, which is what the majority of this state has gone to,
Interesting.
It's a reaction to what was occurring on the East Coast. There used to be a thing called garbage wars,
Right.
okay? And
Well, and
the West Coast essentially said, screw that, we're not even gonna get into this.
and it
We're
was,
gonna do exclusive, right, and we're gonna do exclusive, we're gonna do exclusives.
okay.
And yet there's still some people that say it's the mob, so.
Yeah, exclusives are totally the mom.
I was trying to be nice.
It's the resident very East Coaster. Yes, it was the
Right, do we have more comments?
And I would say our franchise agreement is, it's a lot like what you see across the state. It's nothing that's
Yeah, we're not doing anything
odd.
different.
Oh, I didn't think we were, I just
No, I just want to.
never thought about it.
Those are always things when those come up for renewal, those are things to bring up, so.
I know all about electric franchises.
I bet you do.
Is there any competition for the cable service? The Spectrum does a franchise, right?
Yes,
Is there any competition for that, or is it just them?
it's just.
Okay, there is,
I thought I heard somebody else came in.
okay, so there is, but here's the thing, it's how much competition they want to be, because Lyrica's now in the area. Used to be COSCOM.
Wave?
Who?
Astound.
There's Lyrica, Astound, there's another one from the valley coming in from the east side now. Yeah, Pioneer's coming in. So anyway, there's starting to be competition finally. So, you know, at some point, we need, especially with the broadband money that's out there, we need to figure out how this is gonna go.
The other thing you're seeing is you do see your cable franchises fees or revenues going down because more and more people are cutting cord. So that affects us and we can't tax internet. So that's federal law, I believe. So. on that.
Really?
What's the length of the franchise agreements generally?
10 years. Sometimes 5.
Yeah.
It's Mike. What'd you say, Mike?
10 years, sometimes 5.
Thank you.
I just didn't know if there was a quality of services part of that also.
There is with the
So,
cable, it is.
yeah.
There is a part of that that is quality of service. And that's how they're getting more competition, because it's always been a thing, but in rural areas, there's been any competition, and so. But then times they are changing. But Kim? Say it again.
More comments?
All right, it's a federal law that can't.
One of the committees that I serve on is the solid waste, and I see that in here, we just put a 3% increase on what we would be paying them. And I'm not sure how long we have to continue to pay them.
Until it is officially closed by the DEQ.
Well, I was gonna say, maybe our attorney could look at that contract that we signed. I know it was 20 years ago, but it might be time to kind of see.
Susan, you missed a couple of years on city council.
Yes, I
See,
did.
that question comes up every year at budget time.
Yeah, well, it is something to look at to see if there could be an end to it, because sitting on that committee, it seems like it's
You sound
never
like Betty.
gonna end. And so if we can pressure.
Never ending poo.
Yeah, because there's another one that's gonna come up, and so it would be prudent to be looking into that.
Betty raised the same thing.
Yeah. And
She used to be on that.
ours is not near what some of the other municipalities pay,
Right.
but it's still $6-7 grand a year that if we
Yeah,
didn't.
allegedly,
Yes.
Stu,
Yes.
we're gonna pay it until DEQ finally signs off on the closure, and that won't be,
That's why I'm bringing it up.
yeah, Betty used more colorful language to describe when DEQ was gonna close that.
And the person that's in charge is very good at spending money.
You know, I'm not around with that language, because Lisa keeps telling me we're recording.
You can use it after we're done recording.
Oh, I usually do.
You can.
You're saying certain digits.
Love you.
We're not supposed to be.
Yeah, sorry.
You don't want to hear how I talk outside of here.
I've heard you.
My wife used to think I was always angry. I'm like,
Just go and talk.
Do we have something?
We do. I have something to bring up, that is just, this week, 2 days ago, comes to staff's attention. What page number is the stabilization?
I just put it in.
Is it a stabilization? fund? Stabilization fund?
Are we looking at your packet and not the?
Page 50.
There we go.
"In the book?"
Yeah.
Page 52. So I received notification from PERS that one of our staff, apparently there was a legal change that took place many years ago. Originally, when the law was passed in 2003, it took effect 2004, when they developed the OPSRP PERS members, there was some language. Everybody was supposed to be put into that, however, they amended it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to recall off the top of my head. There was an amendment that took place in 2006. They went back and changed it. So basically, one of our staff members had started employment with another agency prior to that, was in tier 2. The law changed originally in 2003, 2004, and said they had to move to OPS because they were not active in the fund at that time. The language was then repealed and changed in 2006 that said, no, put them back in their original placement. So PERS has been working all of this time. They said they had a staff member working on this for 10 years, doing cleanup for all of these employees that it affected across the state. They've been calculated and having to go back to every employer that these affected persons worked for. So we were notified at City of Toledo that we are going to have to pay slightly over $63,000 to make up that difference of what is owed to the employee. It should have been paid at tier 2 instead of OPSRP. And that will be coming out, pulled from our account this month.
To one employee.
To one employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this retirement expense? Yeah, so that's what this stabilization fund is for, to kind of help have money put aside for things like this that come up. So we will need to take that out of our ending balance or our actual ending for this fiscal year retirement expenses. It's slightly, well, let me pull up my email. I have it right here. It's just slightly over 60.
Thought it was 62 something.
No, the grand total is 60.
Oh, 62 something.
Let me grab that really quickly. So that will change our ending balance there, so it'll just change our beginning balance. So if we want to recognize that right now, if somebody wants to do a motion.
Well, we'll have to reduce our expenditures
And then we're
by the
gonna-
same amount.
Yeah.
We'll have to reduce it under retirement expenses,
Retirement expenses, correct.
Yes.
the same amount.
So yeah, what's our number?
This room is terrible. I think it's the whole thing.
You able to pull yours up, my phone?
I will in a second.
Are you looking for a more exacting figure?
Yeah, I have the exact number. I was trying to find it in my email, but the folder's not loading.
Let's see, you sent it.
Was it less than 63,000 now?
It's
No,
slightly
it's more.
over 63. We have an exact figure. Oh, wait, oops, it pulled.
You got it?
I got it. $63,325.81.
Call it
So
63,
326.
326.
So we need to subtract that from the 26 million for our budget.
Well, first we got, we
This is a
will,
reserve
yes.
fund, so it's
So we'll subtract it from the 521,041. And we'll subtract,
To the retirement expense line item.
and then we'll subtract it also from the retirement expense line item.
No, you would add it to the retirement.
We'll subtract it because it's gonna be less.
It's gonna reduce our beginning fund balance and then we'll reduce the retirement expense line by the same amount.
So it balances.
Amanda, here's the number.
Oh, because we're gonna spending it out, because we've got to spend it right now.
They're going-
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
They're going to take it
Okay.
out this.
So our beginning fund balance should be $457,715.
Yep. And then the 281,041 less that.
We have
217, 715.
490.
17 what?
715.
Thank you.
And then, just so you, everybody's aware, that's gonna reduce the total budget of 26 million.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Minus
we need to
that as
subtract
well.
that.
Right.
I'll let you figure that out.
Say aye.
So yeah, it'll just reduce it by the 63,000.
Yes, yeah, just waiting to say aye, whatever.
My brain is smoking a little bit. I'm glad
I
there's
started writing it down, but.
money people here.
I always keep my notes.
15.
Right there. So, I'm one of those guys, I have lots.
I'd like to relive problems.
Okay, I would like to entertain a motion for those changes to.
I just side comment. We don't need a motion.
I would like a motion for the changes to the retirement expenses line items
In the beginning of fund balance.
and the beginning fund balance.
I would move that we re-annotate the stabilization fund with a beginning fund balance of $457,715 with a commensurate reduction in line item 608,600 retirement expense. With that one reduced by the same amount, which equals 217,715.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes.
Tier two.
All right,
Lisa wasn't tier one.
more comments?
Can we? So what is our total budget? So we've got to adjust that for the 63.
Yes.
We're doing that right.
Yeah, she's doing that now.
So it was 26,702,905 and we're subtracting 63,326, so that gives us 26, if I can speak, 639,579.
Thank you. Unless it changes again. Here's those numbers. More comments. Keep commenting. The quiet group.
Now.
Okay, so I now call a public hearing for, is it comments on the budget? Yep. Oh, at 7:25.
If there's anyone online who'd like to provide comments, please raise your hand electronically. Not see any hands raised.
Awesome. So do I?
I would just like to say we appreciate you acknowledging the importance of the museums in our community and the funding that supports us. Thank you.
Well, I have something I want to talk to you guys about, not now, but like later.
In other words, don't leave.
Or, well, I need to talk to Lisa first, so it may be a day or two, but I have a thought.
Did you bring food?
Now what do I do?
Close it.
Close.
Are we, okay, I'm closing the public hearing at 7:26.
Ready to entertain a motion?
I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I move to approve the budget as amended by the Budget Committee for fiscal year 2024-2025 in the amount of $26,639,579. Approve a tax rate of $5.18 per 1,000 of assessed value and accept the state revenue sharing.
Second,
All right, Tracy made the motion, Mayor Cross seconded. I will take a roll call
Yep.
vote. Okay. And Learned Ellis. Yes, approved. David Robinson,
Yes.
Stacy Keating,
Yes.
Barry Brewster,
Yes.
Jonathan Nick,
Yes.
Andrew Keeling,
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
yes.
Not here, Stu Strong,
Yes.
Jackie Burns.
Yes.
Frank Silva.
Yes.
Tracy Mix.
Yes.
And it is approved. Record time, might I add.
So now we're just gonna hang out till.
I still got work to do, guys.
I adjourn.
Going home.
And we end the budget.